But all in all, it looks like it's going to fit in there pretty good. I'm kind of happy with it. Well, welcome back, folks, to Random Rod Shop. You know, sometimes, even though I try to keep the big picture, sometimes I get lost in the forest. You know, I had a friend. He said, you know, sometimes it's hard to remember that your job is to drain the swamp when you're up to your ears in alligators. I think that's where we were at. You know, for the last two videos, I've been talking about I want to get the inner fender repaired where the battery had rotted out the metal. And I can tell you, I was laser focused on getting that done. I almost really screwed up. So, so what I failed to realize was that rebuilding that inner fender really wouldn't do me a whole lot of good, because instead of putting a battery back in that spot, I need to put a water bottle, right? The radiator doesn't have a fill cap, so this is a pressure tank. This is where you put the antifreeze into the radiator. So that's got to go back in there. And if I can figure out enough room, that's got to go back in there. All right, that's the air cleaner. Now, I know some of you folks are saying, well, I could just use a K&N, and I may actually end up doing that if I can't figure this out. But what I like about the factory system is that if you go through a pile of water, it won't get sucked into the engine, right? That's part of the reason why you got some, you know, you got this bulge down here, and there's, you know, you got a trap down here. Anyway, my preference is not to use that. Like I said, you know, right off the bat when I started the channel, I live out in the middle of nowhere. These pickups, they need to be able to run. And that means they need to be able to run in the rain, through puddles, like a normal pickup. Now, hopefully we can make it, you know, make it a little better than a normal pickup in terms of it looks cool, but in the end, it still needs to run. So I have been kind of doing some looking. I'm not sure about this, so this may take some thinking, but the water bottle has to go in there. What did I do with it? Oh, there it is. The water bottle has to go in there. So I'm going to move the camera around. I'm going to try a new thing. I bought a taller tripod. I think I need one of them boom mics, or those tripods that got the arm on it. I don't know. Anyway, I've got a taller tripod. I'm going to point it down in there, and then I'm going to kind of show you what we got going on. And then we're going to have to figure out how to get this to fit, because the motor won't run without this. I mean, I guess you could start it, but yeah, this has got to go in. All right, I'm going to get the camera adjusted, hopefully, and get it pushed around there. Well, let's see if that works. Let me get the bottle. So, now remembering the goal that we don't want to spend any more money than we have to. And I guess, you know, we haven't done an update on that. So let's go squirrel. And let's talk about what I've spent on this thing so far. So I don't know how you want to count it. I mean, we've owned this truck for 30 years. So if you want to go back, I think 30 years ago my dad paid about $800 for it. So however you want to count that. But I didn't spend any money on it. And I paid $400 for the Tahoe. Now, it was in pretty rough shape, but it served its purpose. So since that time, let's see what I've had to buy. I've had to buy plastic fuel line and push lock connectors. I put all new brake lines on it, so it has all new copper nickel brake lines with the fittings on the end of that. You know, it may not be fair, but I had the Hydro Boost. I had all of the steering stuff from just over the years, piles of parts. Am I forgetting? Oh, the tank. The tank came out of my granddaughter's Jeep Grand Cherokee that kind of went belly up. I'm trying to think here. I don't think I've spent anything else on it. So whatever that adds up to, some brake line and some fuel line. And obviously I've changed oil in it and filters, and I put spark plugs in it, put plug wires on it, so that adds up. I don't remember how much that was, but at this point, that's all I've got in this thing. And looking forward, I'm not sure how much more out of pocket I'm going to spend on this thing until we get to the body and paint, right? So that, I'm just going to throw that out because I don't know where we're going to go with that. I don't know what kind of paint. I don't know what color. Probably going to have to spend some money on the heater. My young son would like to get AC in here, so we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do for AC. And given the green stuff on that heater core, it may not be any good, so we're going to have to work on that piece of it. I've got to buy some exhaust pipe so we can go ahead and run the exhaust system. I think that's it. Now, I apologize for not adding all that up. It's kind of a spur of the moment the decision here in the video. But so far, we haven't spent much money on this thing. Now, if you don't have access to all these bits and pieces, I understand. I've been fiddling with cars my entire life, dragging these things home. My dad was okay with me keeping them on his place while I, moved all around the country, working here and there. Anyway, I don't know if you guys are interested in that, but that's where we currently stand. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled program. Okay, this thing needs to go in here. And it looks like it could be happy right there. I need to get it down just a little bit. It needs to be higher than the radiator, and it's still got to clear the hood, so I think if I got it down another inch, that should work. So I still need to cut all the rust out, but the plan of what goes back in there has significantly changed if I need to make it so this actually bolts in there. Anyway, I was definitely going down the path of rebuilding this, I can tell you. No bones about it. I'm not even sure what made me remember that I needed to do it this way. I don't know. Maybe Fred and Ralph kind of kicked me in the butt and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I don't know. So we need to get this in here. So we need to start drawing some things up, and we need to figure it out. I don't know what we're going to do about the air cleaner. So if I set that thing in there, if I set the bottle in there, I mean, really, the air cleaner, let me get it down there. There. I think now you can see it. I mean, instantly the air cleaner needs to go somewhere like this. Now, in the stock location, the bottle was back here, And the air cleaner would have fit right here. Let's see. The air cleaner would have fit like this. That seems to be a tight fit. I don't know. I think the thing to remember is that I don't have as much forward room here in this International as you have in the Silverado. Remember, we had to pull this back, right? The radiator is, I don't know, you remember? Like 2.5 inches closer? I think so. So we've lost 2.5 inches from the total distance between the engine and the core support. And interestingly enough, I'm not convinced that this thing is white. I could pull a tape on it, but the way this is all mounted together, I think really the way to get the room will be to open this up and make a big box right here. I just got to be careful that the front wheels don't get inside, doesn't come up right in bounce, doesn't come up in the and hit that. So that was a lot of rambling, wasn't it? I apologize for that. Probably talking to myself more than anything else because I'm trying to figure this out. I think we just need to forget about the air cleaner right now and let's focus on the bottle. All right. Well, I don't think I'm gonna make any headway until I get some of this old metal cut out of here. So I'm gonna turn you off, get set up, then we'll cut this metal out, and then maybe we can set this down here. We can do stick figures or do some cardboard aided design and see if we can figure out what this thing needs to look like. All right, let me get back to you. Okay, so you might ask why I didn't cut this off before I bolted it in here. And I can tell you what, that was my plan. But once I figured out that I need to, put the bottle and hopefully the air cleaner in here, I'm like, this might be better to cut it off while it's in there. That way I can make sure everything's going to fit. I think I've got plenty of room. I don't think it's constrained, so I don't know that it's going to hurt anything. And, given my history, I just think I'd be better off to cut it off when it's inside there. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting. When I hit the thing, I'll squeeze this together so you don't have to watch or listen to the whole thing, but we're going to cut it off. Okay, well, we got it cut out. That's a big hole. Let's see what we got going on here now. This is part of the international light harness. You know, maybe I ought to lay a level across this thing just to make sure that we don't spend all this time designing a bracket and it turns out that it hits a hood. Let me grab a level. Harbor Freight to the rescue again. Well, I think I'd like to crowd that as far toward the outside as I could. That means, let me get the camera down here and let me show you what I got going on. So, if I bring it up close and I crowd this side as much as I can, you know, if I quit wiggling it, this whole world would get easier. So basically, I need to come down with a mount to catch that and to catch that front leg right there. I think what I want to do is I'm going to make some little temporary L-shaped brackets, kind of get those tacked on so we can position this bottle where it needs to go. Looks like I'm low again. Yeah, we got to get this thing stable. I can't hold it and design it at the same time. Okay, let me bend up some pieces and we'll see if we can get this thing at least temporarily mounted where we think it's going to be. All right, so we got the first one. It's just tacked up in there. My goal is just to get this thing positioned. This is what we got at this point. We got to get from down there to up here. I'm going to go underneath here. To give you a better perspective, we got to go from here to here just to hold that in place. Once I get it held in place, then my thinking is I can now take the water bottle out and I can form sheet metal to basically go between the points and plug up the hole. That's the plan anyway. You know, well-laid plans of mice and men. We'll see. So I'm going to get a strap made and get this tacked up in here, get the water bottle out, and let's see what we have to do. Even when you think you're doing it right. I think I bent this thing backwards. I'm gonna fiddle with it a little bit more and see if I can salvage this, but I think I bent the wrong bend first. Let me play with it a little more. Well, it is salvageable. I need to pull off my angle iron on the front. Let me get a socket. Now, the interesting thing is, I put this on here so I could do, you know, heavier material. This is 1/8 inch, even though it's not very wide. I've never tried to bend 1/8 inch without the angle iron on there. Let's see how we can get this. Just trying to make sure that I'm bending it right. Well, let's let's cut it to length and let's see how it works. Okay, well, it ain't bent perfect, but I think I can tack that up there, and that looks like it will pretty much position this tank, which is what we need it to do. Okay, well, let me go ahead and get this put up there. Looks like I got my bend just a tad off. I think I'll bend that down just a little bit so it'll clamp a little flatter, and we'll see what we got. But I'm going to go ahead and get this positioned. I'll weld it up on there. Then we'll get this inner fender off, and then the real work begins. We need to fill in this big old hole. All right, let me get set up and get the fender off, and we'll come back. You know, I could hear you guys shouting in the background. Once again, I get so focused on, you know, solving the problem. I almost walked away from this, you know, went on down the road without without seeing if there was some chance to put this air cleaner in here. Oh, I've said it before, sometimes my brilliance amazes me. Let me grab the air filter. Well, that's interesting. I don't think this is going to work. The mass airflow sensor wants a little bit of straight length after it goes through the mass airflow. Putting a 90, you know, right after the mass airflow probably isn't the best idea. It needs a little bit of path there, I believe, to set up some laminar flow, and that ain't going to do it. Okay. Well, at this point, we might as well just give up the ghost and we're gonna have to tackle that air cleaner by itself, which probably means I'm gonna weld this up, and I'm gonna end up having to cut some of it out. But yeah, I'd still like to get this in here, but this air cleaner kind of needs to come back like this. I don't know. The joys of hot rodding, right? All right, we're not going to worry about that. Let's go ahead and get this inner fender off, and let's see if we can get this thing welded up on, and at least see if we can accomplish one thing. All right, I'm going to shut you off and, take everything apart, get my table set up, and I'll bring you back. Okay, we got it all out here, and I decided to bolt the tank back in. One, this is kind of wiggly with all this cut out. I think we're going to have to do some sophisticated cardboard aided design here. So I'm going to get my cardboard out. I'm going to get my tape out, get my scissors, and let's see what we can do. Well, folks, I have run out of time. This thing took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. I guess that's how it is. I don't know. But it's in there. There's a lot of bends and nooks and crannies, and I still have to weld up the tab here, and I haven't put the bottom apron back on it. This bottom apron goes on it down here. So I still got to make that. I'm assuming that doesn't look too bad. But all in all, it looks like it's going to fit in there pretty good. I'm kind of happy with it. It's nice and solid once it all gets bolted in. Well, I appreciate you watching. There's been a number of new subscribers lately. Man, I appreciate it. I think I'm gonna try to do some work on this thing after work this week. See if I can get a little more of it done. I'll go ahead and film it, but hopefully next weekend we can put these inner fenders on and start bolting some stuff together. So, subscribe. Make a comment, share it with your friends. Until next time, Random Rod Shop's gonna go get something to eat.